Oh my goodness, Bri'ya and Braxton, our Christmas miracle on the First Coast. You just heard it, and I am betting, Anthony, that you had the same reaction that I did. For all of you at home, what was your very favorite thing that you heard just now? Typical kids.
They just wanted some cheese pizza after they were found, just like any kid. And you know what my favorite part was there? When they said that they chipped in and they had some pizzas delivered to them at the hospital.
That is great. And they only needed some water,
right?
Just some bumps and bruises, a little bit of dehydration. Water, of course, candy too, because they're 5 and 6 years old. But doesn't that just make you feel great? And I can't imagine mom, dad, grandma, friends, schoolmates, how they must feel right now. Such good news just now from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and JFRD.
So to go over that information once again, they were found safe around 3:35 p.m. By some Jacksonville Sheriff's officers and also members of the JFRD as well that were in the woods there searching. They were in a dense wooded area about 400 meters into the woods, so that translates to about 437 yards. So think about maybe a little over 4 football fields that they were into the woods there from their home, and they were in a dilapidated pump house for shelter.
And that's interesting because you heard Chief Powers there from JFRD call it maybe kind of like a small fort, it was described to him. Maybe the kids thought that would be a fun place to be. I mean, thank goodness they saw something where they could stay, but he did describe some really dense area there, some water they're going to be looking into. We're so glad that didn't cause any kind of problem there. And of course, we're glad the weather cleared in time for them to be found. But as you said, 3:35 discovered. The police officer explained that they were on foot and they heard children's voices. One man, one officer heard some children's voices, and they fanned out, and lo and behold, there they were, Bri'ya and Braxton, brother and sister, hanging on together here since earlier, I mean, 2 days, two dark nights.
Sunday is when they went missing, sometime around 11:30, before noon on Sunday. They were lively and talkative once they were found.
I like those words, lively and talkative. And something else we just found out that's really critical. We've all been wondering, do police think there was some sort of criminal involvement here? And they haven't concluded exactly, but he said, we don't think so. We think from the very beginning we were hoping that they had just wandered off, and as far as they can tell right now, the children just wandered off. And all that talk about some kind of white vehicle and a man driving around playing kids' music like SpongeBob, they don't at this point think that that was connected unless the children bring up something later on.
Right, they're going to look into that, but once again, some good news that we are glad to pass along to you this evening. Let's go back out to our Heather Crawford. She is live at the scene where those children were found over on the west side.
Oh, Anthony, all smiles out here tonight in this community among first responders, even being here in the media. Mark Bachman is here with me. Just such jubilation to know that this story, oftentimes they don't have happy endings, but the fact that they were missing since Sunday morning and found right just feet away from where we're standing tonight, safe and sound, Mark, miraculous.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, you know, just the coordination amongst the first responders, but more coordination with the community. Coming out here, announcing it, people getting out here, looking at it all hours of the night. Some people came on horseback, people walking all around, just searching everywhere. And, you know, first responders, I always say this, is they don't get paid for what they do. They get paid for what they might have to do. And this is one of the days they had to do something, and they did it, and it was very successful.
And you heard the sheriff talk about the teamwork together, because you're talking dozens and dozens, more than 100 law enforcement personnel out here. Some had canines, some were using drones, helicopters, sonar, all hands on deck. And then you had just this community here in Paradise Village. I talked to so many residents, moms and aunts and grandmothers and dads, who just took time day after day to this third day searching for these children.
Yeah, collectively all pulled together. It was what they always say, a team effort, and it ended up this way. And you got to give credit to the 2 small children that braved this, stayed together, didn't separate, and you know, obviously came in contact with the first responders, and we're saved and we're rescued.
I can only imagine how happy they must be and their parents must be to hug them tonight. We were here right as those children were being found. We saw police officers. Mark and I noticed police officers, a contingency of them running down the street about a half mile from the mobile command center. We saw 2 ambulances follow, and then, Mark, we saw that police car just flying down the street. We ran down here as quick as we could, and we were live on air when we talked to a woman who walked up and listen to what she said and what an officer with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office told us just moments after Bri'ya and Braxton Williams were found safe this afternoon.
They were celebrating. Congratulations. They say the kids are found, and it's a glorious day. We can't ask for nothing more. We just thank the Lord that the kids are back and they're safe, and we're just happy, and we give the Lord all the praise.
It's a miracle, Christmas miracle, and it's a blessing. A lot of hard work been done, and that's all I want to say. Just thank God for it.
You heard him say a true Christmas miracle. I'm joined now by Savannah Carver. Savannah, you don't live in Paradise Village. No. You work at the Circle K nearby, and you said you know Braxton and Bri'ya because they come in there with their family sometimes, right?
Yes, ma'am. And when I heard that they were missing, the only thing I could do was go out and search for them day in, day out. 5 o'clock yesterday morning, went home, slept, got back at it. Tonight, walking down 90, the cops come, swarmed the area where we were on 90 right here before the trailer park. All of a sudden they come and said, "What's going on?" We didn't know what's going on. They had found the babies. We were so excited that they're going to be home warm for Christmas. It was very terrifying to find out they were missing.
And you were telling me that you were just screaming. I saw a Facebook Live at the top of your lungs. Thank you, JSO, and thank you all the first responders who were out here for 3 days searching.
Yeah, we couldn't thank them enough. JSO did it. I hands up to them. Let me tell you, JFRD, JSO, you guys done it. You guys done a wonderful job. You guys didn't give up, whether it was raining, whether it was cold, whether it was hot, whether y'all were tired. Y'all took away from your time, from your kids, family, your wives, your husbands, to find 2 children to come home safe. And that's what happened tonight. And it's a blessing, a well blessing for them to be home.
The fact that the 5- and 6-year-old were missing since Sunday morning, they stayed together and they were found right here, in their own community. But it is a densely wooded area, and so that has been part of the challenge, trying to find these 2 small children. But we heard Sheriff Mike Williams say just moments ago they were found in a dilapidated pump house, a little place they found to take shelter. And I mean, just put into perspective how happy everyone is in this community tonight.
Oh, I bet they're ecstatic. I bet, one thing and 2 things for sure, the community did come together as a one, not let alone the authorities, but the community came together. And that's what it takes to do something like this, to have the good outcomes. The more, the better. It's going to be a good year for these kids. They're going to have a good Christmas. I'm just excited that they're home and safe.
Savannah, thank you so much. The community really pulling together. This is what it's all about, pulling together to make sure Bri'ya and Braxton, all efforts, all resources put into finding these 2 children and bringing them home. And so they are going to be home for Christmas, safe and sound with their family. And as that Jacksonville Sheriff's officer told us today, it is a true Christmas miracle. Jeannie and Anthony.
Well, good evening. It's not just a good evening, folks. It is a terrific evening because those little children, Bri'ya and Braxton, brother and sister, have been found safe and alive this afternoon. And yes, JSO is calling it a Christmas miracle. And our favorite part, these kids, typical kids, ordered a
cheese pizza. That's what they said after they were found. They said, "We just want some cheese pizzas."
That's
because
good.
As you can imagine, after they were found, they were hungry, thirsty. They had been out there in the woods for more than 50 hours. They were discovered sometime after 3:30 today. Let's go out to our Heather Crawford now. She is live where those children were found.
Anthony, it has just been a whirlwind out here in Paradise Village. Mark Bachman, our crime analyst, is here with me. This is the day we were all hoping for. Those 2 children vanished Sunday morning around 11:30, and it wasn't until this afternoon that they were found safe and sound. And Mark and I were just talking about what a true miracle it was that they were found when they were, because Mark, just 15 minutes after that 5- and 6-year-old brother and sister were found, the bottom dropped out, just heavy rain, strong winds, a very strong storm. But when those kids were found, up until the time they were found, the weather was remarkably nice.
Yeah, it was nice out. It really was. And we were walking around and it was warm. It was probably 80+ degrees. And then all of a sudden you could see the weather coming this way. And I was hoping that something would happen leading up to it. And as soon as we saw the emergency vehicles come in and obviously go at a high rate of speed back towards the back of the park, back to the lot here in the area, we knew something was up, and then we saw obviously the first responders, firemen, as well as JSO officers running in that direction. So we immediately got back here, and lo and behold, they found them alive and brought them out of the brushed area back here. 20 to 30 yards back in a pump house area, they were found and set safely and brought to and rescued. It's just absolutely incredible.
And Mark, the fact that you had a 5- and a 6-year-old stay together for all of that time is remarkable as well.
Stay together, you know, obviously they either heard someone calling for them or maybe they were just found, they happened across them. I probably would think that someone yelled out their names and they heard them and maybe came out of that pump house or something and surfaced. But nonetheless, you know, it's obviously they were hungry. They asked for pizza. So they got pizza.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's awesome that they're alive and well.
So it doesn't appear at this point that anything criminal happened. They had been outside playing in the front yard in this community in front of their home Sunday morning. Dad goes inside for just a few minutes, comes back outside. They're gone. And they may have been wandering or in that pump house since that time. So, and this is a pretty good distance from where they live.
Right. Potentially they could have been in there the whole time. I mean, yeah, it's at least a quarter-mile walk from where they live to here. So, yeah, they could have easily walked around a little bit, went in there, you know, got refuse. Maybe they looked up and saw it was going to rain and took refuse. Who knows? But it's awesome that they were found before this storm, because I can tell you they would have probably stopped searching for at least a period of time, because, you know, the FLIR, the thermal imagery, you know, the drones, they're not going to work out here in the rain. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And we had a significant amount of rain. You see these puddling over here, good 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches of rain.
Significant amount of rain. And so as Mark and I were sitting out here tonight, a woman drove up, rolled down her window, just ecstatic like everyone is. And she said she was out doing Christmas shopping. She heard the news that Bri'ya and Braxton had been found safe. And then she saw her driveway on the television, and this is where she lives, right here in this home, and she said she had been out searching for them, and she said, I felt so bad I didn't call her name. Well, the fact that she was out searching is a great thing, that she was, you know, doing everything she could to find them, but had no idea they'd be found right here.
Well, and again, she reiterated she didn't know their names, but she's lived here for 20 years plus.
Right.
She walked her lot thoroughly, and she's really close to her property, and yet she still didn't see or hear them. So, I mean, somebody must have heard the littlest sound, maybe heard them say something.
Great work.
One of the first responders did, and lo and behold, they found them.
And you know, that is what people are coming up to us saying right now is kudos, hats off to all of the searchers who were out here, from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Jacksonville Fire Rescue, each and every agency that invested so much time, so many resources, doing whatever they could to bring those children safe and sound home. And here we are the week before Christmas. And Mark, it's just such a relief to know that they're going to be back with their family
and
for
the
Christmas.
community is very appreciative. They've expressed it, they showed it. And, you know, law enforcement especially doesn't always get to hear that. And when they hear it, it does make them feel really good that, you know, this is a win. They answered the bell. This is a great day.
We heard him say JSO and JFRD, they had our backs, and we are so grateful for that. That is the sentiment here in Paradise Village tonight, where we're just feet away from where Braxton and Bri'ya Williams were found safe this afternoon. I want to send things over now to my colleague Troy Kless, continuing now our live team coverage. Troy?
Thank you, Heather. That sense of relief that you mentioned also felt here at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, where both Sheriff Mike Williams and Jacksonville Fire Rescue Chief Keith Powers expressing their gratitude for all the people that chipped in to help find these two kids, especially the first responders who were out there, again, over the past over 48 hours since these kids went missing. So there's still, you know, obviously very relieved that these two kids were found, but there's still a lot of questions that the sheriff is hoping to address as the investigation, while obviously coming to the best conclusion with the two kids being found safe. There's still some things that they want to address. We brought up, there were several tips that came into the community about a white car blasting children's music that was seen driving in the area. They haven't completely ruled that out yet. And at this point, they believe that the kids just wandered off on their own. At this point, that wasn't any person that took these kids. And so that is what we are hearing at this moment. Again, the urban search and rescue team was there in that dense wooded area and found the kids in a small pump house that was in a dense wooded area. And you could hear about that request that was made by the kids once they were found, when their voices were heard by fire rescue personnel. Take a listen to what the sheriff had to say about the kids' requests after they were found safe.
As far as their condition goes, they're lively and talkative, and asked for a cheese pizza that we quickly delivered to them. So they're currently at a local hospital for observation, but besides being a little bit dehydrated and a couple bumps of bruises, they're in good shape.
And again, large sense of relief that these two kids are found safe and will be being evaluated, and also a big sense of relief for the Williams family as this has come to the best possible case. A lot of resources were obviously poured into this, but at the end of the day, it was people that were walking on foot through that area that led to the discovery of these two children. We're live at JSO tonight. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side.
Oh, Troy, what a happy ending to what could have been a very bad story. We are so glad that little Bri'ya and Braxton Williams have been found safe. Continuing our live team coverage now is my colleague Robert Bradfield, who is at the hospital. Those two children were taken in by ambulance from where I'm standing down to the hospital just to be checked out. And we heard the sheriff say that they were asking for pizza. These little boy and a girl, they were hungry. They wanted some food. Robert?
Yeah, and just to think really the joy that were on the parents' faces and grandma when they were reunited here. Of course, the hugs, the tears, the happy feelings happening this afternoon. We got here around 4:45 and we saw an EMS worker giving us a thumbs up from where we were. So of course, good news on their part as well, but really joy here at the hospital. Several of the workers here as well were also smiling and saying this really is a joyous day as they were leaving. The employee parking lot is just in front of us, and you can see the hospital behind me. And there was about an end of shift around 5 o'clock tonight, and many of these workers were walking past, and they really had smiles on their faces. It's also not known yet how long these children will be in the hospital, but of course, as they were in the woods for about 50 hours, we've learned today, these doctors, of course, will be looking them over to make sure that they are okay. Mark Bachman mentioned they may be a little bit dehydrated, but of course, getting food and water here tonight, and of course that cheese pizza. We did see also just over the course of about the last half hour or so, the parking lot, at least to the emergency room, has also been filing out. There are a couple other ambulances, but those ambulances have since arrived on scene about 30 minutes ago, so they've been clearing out the parking lot here. Employees also leaving this evening, but of course they are happy to know that the news today of both Bri'ya and Braxton found alive, but again, those two children right now being checked out by doctors. And again, we are told that mom, dad, and grandmother met them here. And of course, we can only imagine the sights, the sounds that were happening, and the hugs and kisses from their parents to their babies here tonight. We are live here at U of Health tonight. I'm Robert Bradfield. Heather, back to you.
Oh, Robert, what a happy ending, and we can all only imagine just how joyful Bri'ya and Braxton are to be back with their family tonight. You know, the family just on cloud nine that they were found safe today. We had a chance to talk with the children's cousin. Here's what she told us.
Nothing but happiness. Like, we're happy we found them, spend more time with them, and just really rejoice with them.
And so that was Bri'ya and Braxton's cousin. So much jubilation out here in Paradise Village. And so it was this afternoon, after 3 days of tireless searching, that Jacksonville Fire Rescue and Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, countless officers and law enforcement personnel, and this entire community scoured this neighborhood everywhere looking for Bri'ya and Braxton. And this afternoon we were here as they came out of this area. The sheriff saying they had been in a dilapidated pump house. We don't know how long they've been there. We still don't know all the circumstances surrounding their disappearance. But the good news is the 5- and 6-year-old brother and sister tonight are safe. They're being checked out in the hospital, and they have now been reunited with their family, who is oh so glad to have them back safe. We're going to have more live coverage on the happy end to this story coming up tonight on First Coast News at 7, live tonight on Jacksonville's West Side. Heather Crawford, First Coast News, on your side.
Oh,